There was a time, long time ago, where there was an incident that occurred in heaven. It was a bad day, as days go. I presume it was a day. I plead with God that it's okay to call it a day. Perhaps I should say that it was a bad time. It was a bad situation. Because this is what happened. There had been an unnumbered amount of occasions where praise and worship had gone up to God. Mm-hmm. God had been glorified, and its praise, the praise of him it just rang out, and it filled everything that was, and inside of God, everything that could be. Mm-hmm. And God had orchestrated a order in the way that this was to happen. And he had placed someone whom he had given the authority to direct the praise and the worship. And he took this individual and he singled this individual out and made sure that this individual could be easily identifiable from everyone else. Mm-hmm. It is said that the beauty that was possessed was just awesome. It was incredible. It was more than what the human eye, for example, could even dare to see. It was splendid. It was wonderful. But then again, why shouldn't it be?
Amen.
Because this is God.
Mm-hmm.
And God is in the greatness business. Mm-hmm. So when he created this greatness of beauty and ascribed it to this angel, something happened. It didn't happen right away, no. But it happened.
It happened.
Along the way, this happened. While the praises was going up, while the angels were coming with all of their adoration, and from his position, he could look out over these angels, and he was aware also that as they were looking up to God, that they were also looking up past him. Mm-hmm. They saw his beauty, but they were looking past him to God. Mm-hmm. And he realized that as the leader of the praise and the worship of God at this time, that their positioning mm-hmm. had been left to him. So he had placed them more or less where he felt that they should be. Uh-huh. But the praise and the worship that was coming forth, that didn't come from him. That came from within them. This was unadulterated, unabridged. This was unleashed praise for God. Mm-hmm. This type of adoration has never been known before. It couldn't be measured. And time 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 again. Mm-hmm. He found himself there doing his job, but something was happening. Mm-hmm. As the praise and the worship continued to unfold to God, he had a passing vision. Mm-hmm. He didn't move God out of his vision, but he looked at God, and then he looked at himself, and he looked at himself, and then he looked at the praisers and the worshipers, and then he looked back at himself again, and then he was reminded within himself of who he was. And he was reminded within himself what he looked like. And the more he was reminded within himself about what he looked like, the less he became mindful that who he was not of his own doing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't enter into his frame of thinking now that his being was the result of God. That God was the creator of who he was and all that he was.
Mm-hmm.
But when his eyes left God and began to look inward at himself, he had another vision.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't see God anymore. All he saw was himself. And there began to be a revelation of something that was not what it represented itself to be.
Mm-hmm.
Without God, without him seeing God in himself, and God being the owner of everything that was there, his sight now was blind. He was blinded. Mm-hmm. He was left to engineer with his imagination. Mm. He didn't have the gift of God. He didn't have the light of God to give him vision so he could clearly see what was there. Mm. Neither was it forced upon him. Neither is it forced upon you.
That's right.
So here he is. He is looking inward now. Once he beheld the glorious light of God. But now that he has taken his focus off of God, time after time after time, what he sees is himself. And he begins to create an image of himself because God is not there. He says, am I not beautiful? Am I not wonderful? Am I not awe-inspiring? Do not I have the ability to do this? Have I not been given this position? Have I not? Have I not? Have I not? Can I not? Can I not? Have I not? And he went on. And he went on. And he went on. As you do. And the more he went on, the more he created another image that he began to magnify. The darkness bred itself. There was no light. There was just darkness. There was no parting from God. There was a willingness of identifying self separate from God. It was out of this darkness came, am I not something?
Wow.
That should be also more recognized? Now, in the depth of this darkness that is becoming denser and denser, he has found himself where God says that man also finds himself when he chooses to do wrong. the reprobateness of your mind, if I will, as you don't have your eyes on God, the further you move in a direction away from him, the less inclined it is to have any type of remembrance or association with God, to the point that it becomes non-existent. And with him now, there is no thought of God, as it is with some of you now. He was only concerned about himself as his imagination molded for him this other image. This other image. For God had created a specific image, but he had declined to accept that image. Because with that image came a particular place. And now, because he didn't have God in his eyesight, he created another image which was going to be in another place. Because this thing of darkness could not take the place of light. Neither could it dare come near it. Therefore, he was turned away from God, couldn't face God. He had to look in another direction. The direction away from God was darkness, because God was all the light and it was that way, and he wasn't going that way. As you are today. And as he continued, now lost, disconnected, not directed, he created his own image. And he did exactly what the Word of God says we do. It's not that he wasn't beautiful, but he was too beautiful in his own eyesight.
Wow.
He was so beautiful that it says, I need to be seen. It wasn't that the artfulness of him wasn't wondrous. It was that now that he didn't have his eyes on God, because he turned and began developing another image, it became too wonderful. It was more wonderful. I'm not getting enough attention because of my beauty. I'm not getting enough attention because of my wondrousness. No, something's not quite right here. Wait a minute. What's going on here? No red flags went up, but red flags should go up in your life. Because now we, the created beings of mankind, have people sent from God and the Word of God himself to caution us that falling away like this is going to occur. But you should not. But if you do, here's how you get yourself back right with God. But this individual wasn't interested in getting back right with God. It didn't matter that somewhere way in the back